my friend, I am here. Yes, here. Can you see me? How are you doing today? You might be wondering, why is this guy sitting there? Have I been forced? Well, definitely, maybe. You see, good web soul, on our mission here of spreading honesty and forgiveness, love and peace to the whole world, we do a lot of things. Among them, even reading from some book here called the Book of Wisdom, and even including our Creator in our endeavors by giving thanks to Him before we start our show. And the show, my friend, is a reaction show, which we shall be going through some interesting videos from all over the world. Together we do here for the sake of spreading good vibes. So let's read from the book I'm telling you, aka the Book of Wisdom. Today it tells us, the Lord is my rock, my fortress and my deliverer. My God is my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation. He is my stronghold, my refuge and my savior. From violent men you save me. I called to the Lord, who is worthy of praise, and I am saved from my enemies. That, my friend, is from 2 Samuel 22, from 2 going down. Interesting words there. We always call to our Redeemer, our Christ, our Father, for help and guidance in our show. Let's do so together kindly. Humble yourself from wherever you are. Thank you, wonderful Father, for this great good day. Thank you for your love, Father. Thank you for goodness of life and the breath of life in this child of yours, Father. Today's viewer, all glory and honor belong unto you, King of Kings, together with your child here, today's viewer. Bless us and help us to spread love through the videos we shall be reacting to. And by the end of the show, Father, may you have done something in our lives. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen. Interesting sauce, it's time to dive in. Good vibes all the way. Step.
Did you know on Teams or Zooms calls, there's one way that you can instantly start to build credibility and gain trust from the other people on the video call that's on with you? Well, that thing is something that I've been doing since I started this video. I try to do it in lots of my videos, and particularly when I'm on a live call on Zoom or Teams. Have you guessed yet what that might be? It's actually, you can see my hands. We trust people more when we see their hands. So on video calls, on videos like this, if you make them, use those hands and let people see them so that we start to build credibility and we gain people's trust.
In the Garden of Eden, what is the tree of knowledge? So the tree of knowledge is one of two trees. You have the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and you have the tree of life. But the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it sounds like, oh, I'm going to open a book and it's academic and I'm going to learn all about the good and evil. And that's not what is brought out in the Hebrew. The word knowledge in the Hebrew actually is this deep intimacy, experiential knowledge. So like in Genesis 4, the next chapter, you find it says Adam knew his wife Eve and they conceived and bore a son. So knowledge is even sexual. So when you see the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it's not like Eve is eating it and going, oh yes, now I know about it. It's she's saturated with good and evil, like the dynamic that's at play. And it brings about the fall to her soul.
The more you work out, the more magnesium and calcium your body needs. The reason why? Imagine that this is your bicep. Calcium helps your muscles contract, the upwards motion, and magnesium helps your muscles relax, the opposite going down. When you work out, your muscles are doing a lot of contraction and relaxation, which uses more calcium and magnesium. And why, if you're someone who works out a lot, it's incredibly important that you focus on getting enough of these two key minerals into your diet every single day.
Did you know Revelation is the only book of the Bible that promises a blessing to those who read it? Really?
In the very beginning.
Wow.
Here we go to it first. Because that's huge. Like, there's so many people that, you know, if you haven't read the book of Revelation and it's telling you,
I
it
love
says,
that.
I know. So Revelation chapter 1, verse 3 says, "Blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy, and blessed are those who hear it and take heart what is written in it, because the time is near."
Dang.
Like, blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy. you know?
Wow.
And
Dang.
blessed are those who hear it.
Dang.
So it's a very big
Okay.
deal. We're trying to talk about the white horse and the riders. So, Book of Revelation chapter 6 says, "I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, 'Come.' I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow and was given a crown. And he rode out as a conqueror bent on conquest."
Yeah.
This is right when the 7 seals
The
are being
false
opened.
peace.
Yep.
You said the false peace that the rider on white horse ushers in that kickstarts the Daniel 70th week. Ooh,
Yep.
so that is what we're talking about right now. We talked plenty about the false peace.
Yes.
We want peace, of course, and it's not at anybody's fault for thinking that that's what is happening and being excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because obviously, like, I was kind of there for a second.
It might be peace for a time, but that's just going to be for a time.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of this stuff, these prophecies are going to unfold, period. Like, this is the truth. The truth is the word of God, and the truth has to come to pass.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to talk. I have just seen 2 videos today. 2. A man and a woman, they do not know each other. They're both talking about they're being in their cars and either going through some portal or jumping timelines. The one guy that I saw, he was the first one that I saw. He was visibly shaken. He was driving. While he was driving, he looked down at his phone, which is crazy because the woman also said the same thing. It was when she looked down at her phone. But let me go back to the guy. He looked down at his phone, looked back up, and he was on the highway originally. And when he looked back up, he was on a side street almost by his house. And he said that he comes from work and it takes him almost 30 minutes to get from work to near his house. And only 14 minutes had passed and he was already by a side street at his house. He must have just recorded the video right when it happened because he was in tears. And I'll be honest, I felt terrible for him. You could see he was visibly shaken. Now the woman, she also said the same thing. She was driving. She looked down at her phone. And when she looked up, she didn't know where the hell she was. The video of this woman that she's talking about, this timeline jumping or a portal of some sort, she's in the hospital with a neck brace. I don't know what the name of her account is. I forgot to tag it. But she said that even her kids were like, "Mom, where are we?" As she goes and puts her address in the GPS, she makes a U-turn, goes down the street to try to get back to her house. She gets hit from a car from behind, like nailed her. And what's weird about it also is that car said to her, "You came out of nowhere. I did not see you, and it was like you appeared out of nowhere." Now, don't you think that's weird? 2 different people do not know each other, almost have identical stories about them driving, looking at their phone for a split second, looking back up and not knowing where they're at. They're in a completely different area than where they were 1 second before that. That gives me the goosebumps. That is so weird. Like, my wheels are spinning right now. Like, it's freaking me out. What do you guys think? Did you see these videos? Like, my brain is not braining right now. Like, I don't even know what to say.
You may be using the Lord's name in vain and not even know it. Let me explain. I'm going to give you 3 levels of understanding of what it means to take the Lord's name in vain. This is super important and I hope it's going to blow your mind. Number 1 is super simple and very common amongst believers, and that is do not use the Lord's name in vain, such as saying, "Oh my God," or using the name Jesus Christ as a curse word. The second is this: when he says do not take the Lord's name in vain, to take means to bear, to throw onto your shoulders, or to carry. It's like you may walk around with the chest plate and the symbol of God on your chest and say, "I am a Christian, I'm a believer," but you're off just living in absolute pure sin. You're taking or bearing the name of the Lord in vain. It's like wearing a badge of honor but then disgracing it by your actions and bringing shame to the name of God, or otherwise carrying your cross in vain. And lastly, the third level. The Lord reveals his name in the letters of Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey, or otherwise Yahweh or Yahuwah. But the truth is that we can't actually speak the name of God. It's an unspoken word. Instead, the pronunciation of his name is through your breath. That is Yahuwah or Yahweh. So the name of God is every single breath that you take. So let's look at this a little bit differently. Do not use your breath, the breath of life, in vain. And do not speak foul words against other people, because it takes the breath and the name of God with every single word that you speak. The Bible says that we will be held accountable for every idle word that we speak, and it takes the name of God to speak any word. So do not take the name of God in vain by using your breath and your words to destroy other people. There is power in the tongue for life and death. It also takes the name of God to do anything in life. Every time you breathe and perform an action, it is oxygen running through your body, running through your blood. Every hand movement, everything that you do takes the breath of God. Do not take the Lord's name in vain.
With the Wicked musical movie coming out, it reminded me of this Mickey Mouse cup from Disneyland where it says Mickey. But do you see what it says in the reflection? Look at the reflection in the drink. Look at the reflection. It almost looks like it says Wicked. Now, maybe that's just a coincidence. Maybe it's not. But that is kind of strange. And those cups came out, just so you know, way before this was a movie and way before this was a stage play. Now, I myself am probably not going to see the Wicked movie in theaters because I'm not into musicals. But I've seen a lot of reviews where people say they like it and that it's awesome. So maybe when it comes on streaming, I'll watch it then. And this video isn't about the movie, it's about the cup. Yeah, this cup from Disney, where it absolutely says Mickey, and the reflection looks like it says Wicked. Like I said, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm reading something into it that isn't there. Wouldn't be the first time. But let me know what you think about that cup. Is there anything to it, or am I just a whack job? Let me know in the comment section, Booshkies. Shabadoo!
Has anyone ever showed you how to put a scarf on like this? You start off like this, put it to the back, crisscross them, and bring those two forward, okay? Then you want to pull the neck piece forward some. Put these two inside. Pull them down. In the back, there will be one that you can put over your head. When we put it over your head, it will keep the ears warm. You can tighten it down to your head so your ears are nice and warm. Then you put your hat over. When you put your hat over, it's going to cover your ears perfect. So it's like double protection in the winter. You guys have a good day. Stay safe.
The biggest mistake we make in life is thinking we have time.
Apple sells innovation, not phones. Rolex sells status, not watches. Lego sells creativity, not toys. Nike sell motivation, not shoes. Coca-Cola sells happiness, not drinks. And Tesla sells the future, not cars. Success is about selling emotions, not products.
Your ring finger and your Mount of Apollo plays a very important role when it comes to your finances. All the signs that makes you super rich are basically on your Mount of Apollo. And the size of your ring finger, if it is longer than your index finger, it is said that the person earns 11 times more than the average person. So ring finger is important, and so is the Mount of Apollo.
Martin, as a follow-up to the previous question, how do women keep their men?
Well, like the previous one on how men keep their women, first of all, the woman has to get a man. And the main asset women use is their attractiveness. And I can hear the howls of protest, but that's the fact of the matter. And for people who think I'm making this stuff up, just buy the book by Buss, B-U-S-S, on evolutionary psychology. And you can complain about it for the rest of your life if you want, because there's plenty of stuff in there to complain about. Anyway, to get a man, a woman uses her physical attractiveness first and foremost. And she, like men, she will use charm and flattery. And what she will not do is give the game away in terms of what she's really interested in, which is his income and his resources. So anyway, she'll talk about anything he's interested in, anything other than the thing that she's really interested in, which is the money. So, you know, she might even say, oh, I'm not really a materialistic person and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And maybe she isn't, but those are the kind of things women do to attract a man. So having got a man, the first thing she uses to retain a man, to keep him, is her physical appearance. So maybe she will try some new makeup. Maybe she'll wear some slightly more risque clothing. Anything that's connected with physical appearance, she'll try to retain her man. But what women do, a lot more than men, is they will use jealousy. And so they'll go and flirt openly with another man to see if that provokes, you know, her partner, her male partner. And if it does, then that's a victory scored as far as she's concerned. And women do that more than men, oddly enough. So jealousy, triggering jealousy, is a large part of how women will retain a man. There are lots of reasons for that, and I'm not going to go into all of that, but, you know, read the book by Buss, B-U-S-S. Now, there are lots of cruel things that people do that they would never admit to themselves. One of them is that the less involved one of the people is in a relationship, the less they will use these tactics. So if someone is really not very involved in a relationship, they won't really care if if the partner is seen to be drifting off somewhere or whatever. And so they won't use the retention tactics. People who use them generally want the relationship to keep going, obviously. Otherwise they wouldn't bother. It turns out that many women want a display of possessiveness, and they will use jealousy to try and get that display. They will want the man to own them. Very unfashionable, isn't it? But that's the reality of it. We're not talking about ideology or what people would like or whatever. This is the result of very, very large surveys in terms of numbers of people involved. So women like a display of possessiveness. And they like the display, but they don't like the practical application of it. So, yeah, they want a man to say, I don't want you doing that or whatever. But if he was to say that every day for the next 6 months, then yeah, she wouldn't be so happy about that. But she needs that display of possessiveness. And again, another quite cruel fact in all of this. The higher the income, the higher the status of a man, the more a woman will engage in retention tactics like jealousy or improving her appearance or whatever. You know, some poor sucker who's really struggling in life or whatever, women are not going to be so interested in trying to retain someone like that. Another interesting thing is that women don't care about the age of a man or his attractiveness. What they care about is how much money he's got or owns or whatever. It is found statistically that women, that the attractiveness and the age of a man doesn't come anywhere in whether a woman is going to be trying to retain her man. The only real thing that figures is money, to a large extent, and resources. So, and this is a real negative, isn't it? For men that are seen as a good catch, financially, maybe they're good looking as well, or whatever. The more a woman will play the games of emotional manipulation, appearance enhancement, forever asking, do I look nice in this? Do I look nice in this? And all that kind of thing. And verbal signs of possession. Oh, da-di-da, whatever his name is, and I are going to somewhere or other. Whatever his name is, Joe. Joe and I are going to this very expensive restaurant. Very explicit verbal signs of possession. It's a nightmare, isn't it? And of course, the last one, which does get used by both men and women, is to get the woman pregnant, or for the woman to cheat the man in some way so that she gets pregnant. And that's a difficult one to get out of, isn't it? So that could be, the spider laying its trap and the man getting caught. And it works the other way. I've known examples of it working the other way, of men deliberately getting a female pregnant because they want that woman as their partner. So it's all fairly shady stuff, and I know there are people who've been objecting to the first one. This one is, I pulled my punches on the first one, believe it or not, on the one about how men retain women. I haven't pulled the punches quite so much on this one, but I have pulled punches. Read the book by Buss if you want to know what real life is like, instead of some fairy tale that you've seen in the movie theatre or on Netflix, or that your mother told you. Because the reality of the relationships between men and women is very complex, and in some respects, not all that pretty.
This is one of the only accurate method to predict when you would get married. This is your amount of Mars. And if you have a line running down from here and touching your line of head, this predicts when you are getting married.
You were a kid in the early to mid 2000s. Do you remember this commercial?
MindFlex lets you move a ball with just the power of your mind. A wireless headset monitors your brain activity. The more you concentrate, the higher the ball rises. And MindFlex is the obstacle course game you can customize in hundreds of combinations. MindFlex game comes as you see here, batteries not included.
I found it today at the thrift store for $7, and I never got to try this as a kid, so we're gonna try it out now. Let's open this up. So here is the toy. We gotta wear this fancy headset in order to be able to move the ball with our minds. Now let's turn it on. Okay, we're gonna try to move it. Down. Go down. Up. Down. Oh, that's so cool. What the heck? Now that I've fulfilled my childhood dreams of trying out this toy, I'm going to donate it to a charity that gives children toys for Christmas. Because it's really nifty. It's really cool, and I think some kid will love it.
ChatGPT has a weird quirk, and no one can figure out why. It will not write the name David Meyer. Try it. Tell it, write David Meyer, with the Meyer being spelled M-A-Y-E-R. And let me know if you can get it to work, because I can't and a lot of other people can't. And it's only ChatGPT. Other large language models are happy to write that name. No one knows why, and I am really curious. And by the way, if you spell Meyer differently, if you do M-E-Y-E-R, totally fine. But if you ask it, write David Meyer, M-A-Y-E-R, it won't. Give it a try. Explain to me why it doesn't work. I have no idea.
Today I'm going to talk about how appearance relate to your organ function. I'm Dr. Yu, 45 years, traditional Chinese medicine. This is the Chinese medicine theory, and I want to share with you guys. First, we'll talk about the face. So when we see people have a lot of red nose and bumpy, is the sign of their lung function and inflammation in the lung. So when you see they have this line next to the nose, then you know people have stomach function deficiency. So when you see a lot of line here, you know people have a lot of sugar craving. You see some people, they're very young, they have a lot of line in here, you know they're eating a lot of sugar and drink a lot of alcohol. That's the observation for that. So when you see people in big lip, the upper lip, you know they have small intestine problems. You see people have lip even less and less as they get older, like this, later on, smaller, until they have none. So that really shows the small intestine have problem. And so as the lower lip. Lower lip is large intestine. Normal, they have this. Later on, they have less and less and less. That is the sign the large intestine have problems. That's how Chinese medicine guide us where to go. Of course, we can use the nutrition response testing, use kinesiologists, define what organ have function. That's my knowledge. Until next time, and thank you for watching. Subscribe my channels. Thank you.
This is the line of fate. And if you want to know how your life will be after the age of 35, this is where it starts. This is your 35th year, and anything beyond this and all the way down to your line of heart is your 50th year. So if you have any lines that's across from here and the multiple lines, this will be your multiple sources of income after you are 50 years old.
If you have bright red blood, that means that that blood is actually leaving your body right now, okay? So that's what we call fresh blood or a fresh bleed. Some of that blood accumulates in the uterus. That blood comes out maybe the next day. It might have a darker appearance, so it might be dark red or even almost black. And although that may be alarming to see, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong. Hi, I'm Dr. Basma Faris, board certified OBGYN and nutritionist. I help women with their hormonal and reproductive health, so follow along and find out how I can support you on your journey.
How to tell if you are in a loving and trustworthy relationship. For all the women and men that are looking for trustworthy partners, these are the signs you would look for. The line of heart would be in the center of your index finger and your middle finger. And it would go all the way down, and you would see it feathered right at the bottom. These are trustworthy people, and they're very loving and caring.
Very few people will understand what I'm about to share, but the right people will know. When thoughts occur, how does someone with a victim mindset respond? And how does someone with a creator mindset respond? I was raising 2 small children and a husband at the very tail end of COVID. And what that felt like was I was the maid for everyone. I was doing everything for everyone. Everyone was hopeless and wanting me to be their slave. This, of course, wasn't what actually was happening. But this is what was happening according to my mind, according to my perspective, according to my victim mentality. In this version of the story, my perspective was I was a victim to my family who didn't appreciate me, and I was having to do everything for them. Get them meals, get them snacks, pick up after them. Every single one of them, including a full-grown adult that could have been doing this for himself. This was my perspective. And this victim mentality that I had was the cause of my suffering. It was this perspective that I had allowed to take over my mind that told me this is my reality. It told me this is how it's always going to be. I'm always going to be disrespected by my family, and I will always be taken advantage of by my family. The creator mentality, which is the opposite of this victim mentality, which is the mentality that I ultimately adopted, was a mentality that understood that I could curate my perspective. It is our perspective that we have full control over. And in curating our perspective, we change our thoughts first. And by changing our thoughts, we change the way that we're experiencing the world. We open up new doors that were not previously available for us because we were limiting our own thoughts to this one narrative. In this case, this narrative that I essentially was a Cinderella to my family, which was not true. So in the creator mindset, I first developed a vision, a thought about what I wanted that reality to look like. And this was a reality where my children and my husband loved and adored me, where I was not the person that was doing all the things for them, but we were in a household where everyone helped out. Everyone pitched in. And as unbelievable as this narrative may have seemed at the beginning when I was in that victim mindset, the more I held that vision in my head of what I would like my reality to look like, and I held steady to that vision, I was creating that reality happening. Fast forward several years, and that is my reality. My reality is one where my children love me. My partner loves me. They respect me. They help out. It is a highly functioning household where no one person feels like they're doing every single thing. And this is a very small example of the victim mindset versus a creator mindset. But the whole reason that I'm sharing this is that we need to break out of these ideas that we have no control over our situation and it simply is what it is and that it will always be this way. That is simply the limitations of our minds trying to keep us into a small box. But it's when you see those limitations that you're holding in your mind and when you address them and when you attack them head on and understand, no, I am a creator. I create my reality by curating the perspective that I have. And the way that I curate the perspective that I have is by putting my attention on the good things, putting my attention on the positive things, by creating a vision of what could be first in my mind. And then by doing this every single day, examining that vision and shining a light on those good things and every little glimmer that we see towards progress, that is what starts to create a new reality. I hope this helps.